So the record's clear. Please note that Senator Lee's letters of support are to be entered into the record at this point. We'll go to Senator Risch. Colleagues, here's what I've just been told from the floor, and we can send the message hither and yon. We may have to leave here somewhere shortly after 3:30, and then we'll be into stacked votes. So colleagues who have questions, and I'm going to start with Senator Risch, ought to come to the committee dais as soon as possible. Senator Risch.
Yeah, Commissioner, you're familiar with I assume you're familiar with the situation regarding the New York Canal in Boise. You've heard about that prior to this hearing, I assume.
Good afternoon, Senator. I was just in Boise, and I've seen the New York Canal several times, but as recently as May. Yes.
And didn't have any gopher holes in it.
No, not at this point.
You'd know if it did.
Yes, we would.
If we've got concrete lining, that's not a problem, but without the concrete lining, any kind of disruption is a real problem. How common is that situation around the West where you have, what you saw, that was a significant canal. The size of it is probably as big as you see. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, and it's in the middle of neighborhoods and communities.
It really is. How common of an occurrence is this around the West?
We have 800 miles of urbanized canals, not only in Boise, but certainly Klamath Falls. The 8 canal portions of that is as well urbanized in Nevada. So we have these communities that have grown up around our existing infrastructure.
Yeah. And, you know, when the canal is not lined, there is a real risk for obvious reasons. If it's just a dirt or even rock siding canal, you'd agree with me that concrete lining is imperative, particularly in an area that is urbanized. Would you agree with that?
It allows for more stability of the system. Right. Yes.
So I know you've been asked about this other times. Do you have any? Have you seen the bill that we've got to try to provide funding for that?
Yes.
Can I get your thoughts on that?
Yes, Senator, we support the intent of the legislation, and we look forward to working with you on this bill. It's not just for Idaho, but it's for the entire western states.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And I'm assuming you'd be able to triage the various canals as to which ones are the that are in jeopardy the most. And we'd certainly rely on your expertise to do that. But
we can, and we have, Senator.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. If you already have, where is most of the problems, or is it scattered about? Is there anything you can tell me about what you've triaged? I assume that's public, the triaging, or is it?
It has been, and that's when we announced the $585 million in April of extraordinary maintenance, it was to target these type of projects. The New York Canal has been a recipient of that funding previously.
I'm aware of that.
And we're looking forward to continuing to work through this and rebuilding our infrastructure across the West with the funding provided by Congress.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate your work on that. I'm glad you appreciate the urgency of it. Let me touch briefly on the relicensing. I'm assuming you agree that these relicensing things that go on for decades isn't a good way to do business. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I'm in the business of federal hydropower, Senator, but regarding the relicensing of non-federal hydropower, we have the FERC statement for the record.
Have you got any ideas about how to move that along more rapidly?
Perhaps we could follow up.
Okay, thank you. With that, I will yield to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.